It was dark. That was the first thing I noticed. Everything suddenly went dark, very, very dark. I ran outside to look up and see what was happening. A thunderstorm, perhaps. It was worse than that. The sky had turned purple, like a bruise, and that bruise went darker and darker until the sky was so dark it was like the middle of the night. I felt scared, like it might be the end of the world. I felt a splodge of water on my cheek. Then more, splatter, splatter, splat. The raindrops were so large, like a giant's tears. Maybe even God's tears. "What's going on?" someone yelled. "Up on the hill," a man said. "It's all up on the hill." I grabbed a torch from the house and started to walk quickly up the street. Whatever was up on the hill must have been bad, because it seemed to be breaking God's heart. What could be so bad? I hurried on through the streets and a few people followed. We wanted to see what was happening. Yes, I was scared. I didn't like the dark, but I wanted to see what was going on. Whatever was on the hill, I wanted to see for myself. I continued. It got harder to see, but I wanted to get up the winding road that led up that hill. I could see there were some soldiers at the top of the hill. They had torches too, bigger than mine, the flames lighting up the hill and what was there. I could see 3 trees standing tall and upright. Then I remembered. This was the place where they crucified people. This was the hill of death, the hill they called the skull. This was where they took criminals to die, nailed to a cross, and stuck up for everyone to see what happened if you did wrong things. Why had the sky turned black for them? Why was God so upset by this? The 3 men all looked the same to me, faces screwed up in pain, trying to breathe but struggling. The one on the right was trying to look at the one in the middle. So I looked too. And suddenly I realised why it was so dark, why God was so upset. The man in the middle, he was the one who we had cheered last week. He was the one who had healed the sick and spoken so much about loving others. Someone had taken him and put him on a cross.
was bruised for our iniquities, upon him was the chastisement that made us whole, and with his stripes we are healed. Oh, we are sheep that gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him
Matthew 27, verses 32 to 38, the crucifixion of Jesus. As they were going out, they met a man from Cyrene named Simon, and they forced him to carry the cross. They came to a place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. There they offered Jesus wine to drink mixed with gall, but after tasting it, he refused to drink it. When they had crucified him, they divided up his clothes by casting lots, and sitting down, they kept watch over him there. Above his head they placed the written charge against him: "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." 2 rebels were crucified with him, one on his right and one on his left.
How deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, that he should give his only Son to make a wretch his treasure. How great the pain of searing loss, the Father turns his face away, as wounds which mar the chosen one bring many sons to glory. Behold the man upon the cross, my sins upon his shoulders. Ashamed I hear my mocking voice call out among the scoffers. It was my sin that held him there until it was accomplished. His dying breath has brought me life. I know that it is finished. I will not boast in anything, no gifts, no power, no wisdom, but I will boast in Jesus Christ, his death and resurrection. Why should I gain from his answer, but this I know with all my heart, his wounds have paid my ransom.
Matthew 27, verses 45 to 50. The death of Jesus. From noon until 3 in the afternoon, darkness came all over the land. About 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of those standing there heard this, they said, "He's calling Elijah." Immediately one of them ran and got a sponge. He filled it with wine vinegar, put it on a staff, and offered it to Jesus to drink. The rest said, "Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to save him." And when Jesus had cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit.
"It is finished." That's what he said. It might be finished, but it's not over. Not by a long way. The priests and leaders of the temple might be breathing a sigh of relief, thinking they've finally rid themselves of the man who has plagued them forever, with his challenges, with his do-gooding, with his refusal ever to give them a straight answer to any question they've ever asked. After months of planning and scheming, they've at last seen the back of him. Or so they think. They've spent weeks trying to trip him into saying something they could hold against him, taken every opportunity to push him off a cliff, but got nowhere. Then finally, they managed to find someone willing to double-cross him. It's amazing how so-called friends find betrayal easy for a few pieces of silver. I heard Judas was full of remorse once he realised what would happen. I heard he took his own life. Couldn't live with the guilt, I suppose. But then, could any of us? After that, there was no stopping it. Caiaphas, the high priest, the council, Pilate, Herod, they were all involved. But in the end, it was the people who decided. Pilate gave them a choice, Jesus or Barabbas. Who should he set free? Barabbas, the crowd shouted. What then should be done with Jesus? Pilate asked. We all just stood there watching, those of us who had the bottle to stay. Maybe we were expecting something miraculous to happen, for him to save himself perhaps. Then we heard the words, "It is finished," and he was dead. It was done. The agony, the torture, the pain, the awful, awful death. But, as I said, it might be finished, but it's not over. No, it certainly isn't over.